And where are we going?
Hello everyone and a warm welcome to Red Ice Creations Radio. I am your host Henrik Palmgren and we are coming to you from Sweden, Scandinavia, in the European Union. And wherever you are, I'm glad you are here and tuned in. The website is redicecreations.com, where you can find lots of news stories from around the globe and beyond, a radio archive, and also via our member section that is available to our subscribers. You have full access to our radio archive and our short films. And soon you will also be able to access a live audio and video feed that we're currently working on to get up on our website. So keep your eyes open, things are progressing here. We also have a newsletter that you can sign up for and stop by and take a peek in our forum as well. Okay, so today we are going to talk about the Aquarian Age and the Piscean Age. What are the traits or properties in broad strokes of these two ages? What are the differences and what will happen, or how does it look when the old goes out and the new comes in? Our guest today is Stephen Ruback. He is the author of The Quest, and on his website, sruback.com, he has a very interesting document or article called Beware the Aquarian Age. Get ready for more changes and challenges than you ever imagined. In this document, Stephen have basically listed in two columns the properties, so to speak, of the Piscean Age and the Aquarian Age. And this is what we're going to look at and talk more about here today. And if Stephen is correct, it might explain why some things are the way they are and why some things seems to be changing at this particular time. So this is going to be great to talk more about this. So let's say welcome to our guest. Hi, Stephen, and thank you for coming on the program.
Hello, and thank you for the opportunity.
It's good to have you here. We have lots to discuss, a very interesting topic comparing these two ages, and I find your article or your document that you wrote very interesting. And to kind of get the idea or the mindset here of what we're talking about, I just want to read a passage here that is related to this document that you wrote. Aquarian Age 2012. It's coming, it's here, it's not what you may think. Have you noticed weather patterns becoming less predictable? Every day feels like a treadmill you can't get off. Time is accelerating, whizzing by like never before. Social structures are radically changing before your eyes. Governments are running amok, trampling personal rights and freedom. We are inundated with misdirection and misinformation from all levels. Increasing earth change activity like floods, earthquakes, storms cause more and more damages. From the 60s song, The Age of Aquarius, to the projected end of the Mayan calendar in 2012, we hear bits and snippets about some sort of coming changes. A variety of psychics have been predicting dramatic changes for years. The hardcore religionists preach about the rapture, taking their faithful away just before the tribulation. All of our older histories carry remnants of stories about worldwide disasters. An endless string of movies have been made predicting all kinds of epic disasters. The planet has many pocket marks made by large objects that had created massive disruptions when they hit. The official media government line is nothing has changed and it will be business as usual forever. Don't worry, go back to sleep. The official academic line is nothing has changed overnight. All big changes happen over thousands of years. Don't worry, go back to sleep. Yet things are changing and it's becoming clearer each day that all kinds of changes are happening to and around us. Nothing will stay the same for the next 10 years, let alone hundreds of thousands. Everything in our society is undergoing massive changes. Whether we pay attention or not, something big is already happening. But what? Indeed, an interesting passage there from Stephen's article about the Aquarian Age. And, Stephen, before we dive into the document and talk more about this and what it all means, I would like to know, a little bit about your background and, what your connection to this material is, basically. How long have you been interested in astrology or the ages of precession like the Aquarian Age and things like this?
Oh, that's been a growing interest over many, many years. I spent 20 years in engineering, and I've always been interested in applying scientific principles to all of my experiences, not just those that we can measure with a yardstick or a piece of string. And I've had many experiences that were not of the physical sort, whether it be dreams, foreseeing things that later took place. I had a dream back when I was a teenager that was essentially a movie of an experience that happened about a week later. The content wasn't particularly important in it as much as the fact that there it was in 3D smell-o-vision thing happening right before me. There's no common physical explanation for that. And over the years, I have spent a lot of time delving into these various spiritual aspects as well, attempting to integrate them into a combination understanding between just the physical. And what it has boiled down to, in essence, is that our body is a transformer between the spiritual and the physical. Of course, I'm jumping ahead just one thought. We are taught as children, as we grow up, that the physical is true reality, and everything springs from that. And we have then our entire perspective of the world and how it works comes from that. What if the spiritual aspect of life is the true reality? And what does that do then to our perspectives and how everything works? Well, it turns it upside down, inside out, and gives us a whole different way of looking at the world and the universe.
Indeed. Interesting. So, in relation to, the precession or the ages and things like that, were there something in particular that kind of got your eyes open to this, or was it just the fact that when dealing with a lot of the material that you just described, this is kind of a thing that comes with the territory, so to speak?
Well, it's kind of both. I had a little help along the way. Years ago, I was selling knife sharpeners at a gun show, and a fellow at the table next to me started talking to me about astrology. And at that point, the only thing I'd heard about astrology was reading the reports in the newspaper, which, of course, are so general they're worthless. And he was explaining that if you actually got a real, live, in-depth astrological reading, you would find that they were filled with absolutely amazing information. And several years later, I found a computer program that actually generates detailed astrological readings. And I thought that was fascinating, so I printed out reports for all my family members, most of my relatives, just as a kind of scientific experiment to see how it correlated with their personalities and our interactions, and it was absolutely amazing.
Interesting. Well, do you mind sharing us with what program that was?
It was the I/O series for the Macintosh.
Okay. Many years ago?
Yeah, it's currently available through many iterations. There are other programs also for different computer systems. It's the only one I know of that is specifically for the Macintosh.
Interesting. So, I mean, if you were to, let's say we're trying to describe this for someone who aren't that aware of all of this material, the Piscean Age and the Aquarian Age, would you mind describing what that is and what that means, and where are we now in relation to these two ages?
All right. Well, there are two components to that, and that's a very good question. The zodiac. Well, let's go back to the very first thing. A lot of people have trouble with the very concept of astrology in that, well, stars don't control me, and in that I think they're absolutely correct. But what the stars and the heavenly bodies do represent are bodies that respond to the energies of the universe, in the universe, and going through the universe. So what we're seeing is not the being controlled by the stars, as it were, but the stars, or the planets, are reflecting the energies that are flowing through and So it's more like looking at a cosmic or spiritual weather report. If it's raining outside, it's kind of nice to know so you can take an umbrella or a raincoat when you go.
That's right, yeah.
Well, the astrological aspect of things is a categorization, a sorting, a detailed analysis of all kinds of energies, both personal, interpersonal, relationship energies. And someone a long time ago put a lot of energy and effort into researching and delineating all this information. It's probably one of the few things that has come to us intact from the previous civilizations that have been on this planet. And it is broken into basically 12 distinct energies or houses or signs. Well, actually, houses are slightly separate from that. And they each have names, and they're connected with the various star constellations. And Pisces happens to be the energy structure that we have been operating under for the last several thousand years. I'm sure that you may have run across the symbol of the fish linked with Christianity.
Indeed, indeed.
That's a direct link to the Piscean energies.
Absolutely. That's right. And I guess the question here is, and there's so many different theories about this, of course. When are we in the Aquarian Age, and when are we leaving the Piscean? And even there might be a range of years here where we have a little bit of both, so to speak, and that actually seems to be what we're experiencing right now. What's your theories about this?
Okay, I don't have a magic number, but Michael Tsarian is possibly one of the most renowned astrologers in the world that I have certainly run across. And he seems to feel that 2012 is right around the target time where we're in the midst of that transition. Now, you keep in mind that we don't go from one area overnight to the other energy. It's as we move toward that transition time, it's a gradual ramping up of one and toning down or ramping down of the other. Otherwise, I don't think we'd survive it.
That's right. Changes would be too drastic, I guess.
Yes. So the last about 10 years, we've seen a daily increase of the Aquarian energies. We're moving to a crescendo at the 2012 point.
Very interesting.
We could argue about which year. It doesn't matter. Plus or minus a year. I just thought it was absolutely fascinating that correlated with the end of the Mayan calendar.
Well, exactly. Well,
other things.
Yeah, precisely. That seems to be a something that is marking something. That's absolutely right. And I guess that in the years ahead we'll see a lot more change. Where are we? Are we 5 years away, basically, from 2012? And a lot,
very
I guess.
Long. Not very long.
Not very long, exactly. Things are moving quickly and quickly, as I read also in the intro that you've written. And I mean, what do you think that is all about? By the way, that time also seems to be speeding up as this is happening. What's that all about?
Well, that's one of the characteristics. When we move from one age to another, we're changing the entire energy structure of the planet. And as I have understand it from several people of very high spiritual acquaintance or operating level that I've known over the years, a dear friend of mine who's no longer with us on this plane told me 20 years ago that one of the prime characteristics of these times ahead will be the acceleration of time. And one of the ways of looking at that, let's see, Christmas is before us. What happened to one last year?